This week on Stormwatch, head coach Frank Cimarelli talks MATC baseball.
I feel like the coach is only going to be as good as the people he surrounds himself with.
Also, we take a look at MPTV's fundraiser, Mittens and More.
The Mittens and More campaign is just a way that we can give back to that same community who's been so generous to us.
We also head to MATC's Oak Creek campus to see how student firefighters prepare for real-world situations.
With innovation and imagination, here at MPTV, we open up your world to knowledge and entertainment. Welcome to Stormwatch. I'm your host, Anna Wilson. Here at Stormwatch, we are celebrating MATC's 100-year anniversary. Tonight, our guest is known all over. He is our community leader, the president of MATC, Dr. Michael L. Burke. History at times overwhelms us, but should never burden us. In this segment, we give you the history of MATC's pioneers. Let's take a look.
Charles McCarthy, great Irishman. Robert Lawrence Cooley. The pioneers, driven by vision and passion that just couldn't be stopped. When people are driven by that type of passion, it's contagious. They succeed. The early 20th century, child labor was something that the progressives were trying to come to grips with. Legislation was coming on the books all over the country, and specifically here in Wisconsin. Specifically, the legislative session of 1911, which produced incredible amounts of progressive legislation, some of it dealing with child labor. And one of the things that McCarthy championed in that session was a law that would require teenage kids who were working in factories, 10, 12 hours a day, that for at least half a day a week, they would have to go to school. And so the system of continuation schools was set up, of which, Milwaukee was one of the first. It was actually, I think, at Mason and Water Street. And then there was another building of classrooms, I think to the south somewhere. Robert L. Cooley believed that government, that schools had a role in making life better for everybody. You have to understand that the progressives of that time really took to heart that it was going to be through government and education that people were literally going to be lifted up. Cooley believed that we should tailor the curriculum to the needs of the student, and so gave birth to a continuation school, which is now MATC, that still does that. Everyone who works at this institution understands his vision. It's unique and it's very special.
Now I'd like to introduce to you our guest this evening, the president of MATC, Dr. Michael L. Burke. Thank you for taking the time in joining us.
Oh, my pleasure.
So Dr. Burke, how is MATC celebrating our 100-year anniversary?
Well, we started about this time last year. Instead of a big black tie event once a year, we decided to have a number of events, given that we have 4 campuses. We decided to have an event that was specific to each campus, and then kind of involve different stakeholders in different events. We had one just for the retirees, which was a black tie event at a country club. Then we had one just for faculty and staff at the Italian Community Center here just last month. So we've had a sort of a birthday celebration that's gone on for a year now, with an event pretty much every other month. So it's kind of like having 6 birthdays in 1 year. And I think it really engaged a lot of student staff and faculty that probably wouldn't necessarily want to go to a big splashy black tie kind of event. We had some very local fun events on each campus.
Almost like a family get-together.
Yeah, I call it a movable feast.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. Well, we will continue this conversation, but first, our very own Caitlin Sager caught up with MPTV's supervisor for community relations to talk about a fundraiser called Mittens and More. Let's see what she found out.
Mittens and More started as our community service drive in 2008. And it began because I was doing workshops, and one of the workshops I did at a school in West Dallas, actually, I had a discussion with the teacher, and she was lamenting the fact that so many of the children were coming to school, and it was wintertime, without any mittens, hats, gloves, and scarves. And she said that the teachers had been taking their own money to buy these things for the children. I thought, well, you know, teachers shouldn't have to do that. We could do that. And so from that point on, we started working on organization of Mittens and More.
Mittens and More starts collecting October 8th through the 26th, and distribution happens in early November. Darlene explains just exactly where these mittens go.
The mittens, hats, gloves, and scarves that we receive go to selected agencies. There are 36 agencies that receive these donated items, and they are responsible for selecting the families and the people who are most in need of those items. People who receive them do not have to pay anything, but we just thought that that was a good way to distribute them to make sure they get to the right people.
And these people are very thankful for what they receive.
We get the most wonderful letters, not only from those who receive the mittens and other items, but also from those who donate. There was a lady who had wanted to know where she could send her donation this year because she mails hers in. And so I told her, and then I said, and what's your name? Because we'd like to thank you on air, and we would like to send you a certificate and things like that. Just, oh, no, I don't want anything like that. She said, I think the best gift is the one that you give to a stranger, and the stranger never knows who receives it.
If you have mittens that you would like to donate, there are a few places you can drop them off.
We have some drop-off sites which people can access by going to the website at mptv.org and then click on Kids and Family. And we have MATC obviously participating all the campuses, and we have the auction site available for drop-off. We have Country Springs Hotels in Milwaukee, and also Copacetic, which has 2 locations in Racine and Waukesha. So we do have different sites available, and people who are very enthusiastic and very helpful.
If you would like to make your own mittens that you can donate, MPTV has a template on their website for you to use.
We have directions on how to make polar fleece mittens, not only step by step, but we also have how you lay out the pattern and then the pattern itself. So people who would like to take this on as a project for a Girl Scout troop, for instance, or 4-H, and we do have a lot of 4-H and Girl Scout groups that participate, this would be a fun way to get the children involved.
Students around campus are already planning on donating this year.
I think this is really great that MPTV is giving the opportunity to donate, so I'm more than excited to donate.
I've donated last year, and I'm getting ready to donate this year.
Well, Mittens and More is such a wonderful event, I think, for both givers and receivers, because we are all, at one time or another in our lives, givers and receivers. We get so many wonderful things from the community to public television. The Mittens and More campaign is just a way that we can give back to that same community who's been so generous to us.
Oh, that's incredible. Now let's dig more into it, Dr. Burke. So who comes up with these community projects and activities?
Well, typically they come to us from virtually anywhere. Many times the community will reach out, community organizations will reach out to me wanting to know if we can host an event because of the facilities we have here are pretty extraordinary. So they can arrange from a simple classroom for a small event to Cooley Auditorium for a large event. And so they approach us in terms of my office sometimes. Sometimes they approach student organizations as a kind of co-sponsor, so they have a built-in audience for the event. Generally, we funnel all of those kinds of requests into our manager of college events, which is Rochelle Cole. She has the fun task of putting all the pieces together and make sure we have technical support, make sure the HVAC system is working, that there's security, all the multitude of support services that are needed to make an event happen. But frankly, anybody, any faculty member, any student, any staff member who has a community organization that wants a place to host an event, we'll do our best to accommodate them.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, that's really convenient that they come to you and...
Yeah, occasionally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. Well, every semester, new and returning students have trouble getting books for classes, but there might be a solution for that problem. Let's check it out.
Since January 2010, MATC has had a new way to order books online. I asked Karen Walker to tell us about herself and the process she uses.
My job title here at the bookstore is Office Assistant. I have been affiliated with MATC for 8 years. Up until June of this year, I was working part-time. I became a full-time employee June 18th of this year. I process agency orders as well as internal recs. And internal requisitions are requisitions that we get from instructors, and they come over here and get the items they need to teach their classes. I do cashiering, stocking, whatever is necessary and needed for the bookstore to run successfully and effectively to provide and meet the needs of the students. We also run the Spirit Shop, which is located over in the main MATC building, so I'm over there as well as being over here in the main bookstore. When placing an online internet order, the first thing that a student must do is go to the MATC website, which is www.matc.edu, and then they can select new books as well as used books. And then once the internet order is processed, I then retrieve the customer order list, which is the 4-digit number that each student is given to keep up with the status of the order, whether it has shipped or if it's still in the status of not being sent out. Once that is done, I would do a pack order, which is the finalization of doing the internet order process. I would pack their orders, charge them for their books, shipping and handling fee, and their books are ready to go. That is how I finalize and do an online internet order. In the future, I expect more students will be utilizing and ordering their books online. For example, it will free them up from standing in long lines, which sometimes the lines get very lengthy, and also to the personalization of the books coming straight to the place that they want me to send it to. It can be home as well as their place of employment, which most students work and they go to school and they prefer their books to be shipped to their place of employment. So I see the online process of the online books ordering being successful, very successful. The numbers have increased drastically this semester by 25% versus last semester.
Does Jeffrey needs go to for Stormwatch?
I think I might try that next semester. Well, since the bookstores offer the online delivery system, do you encourage that for students to do?
Well, I think it's a great idea. I absolutely support the work that's going on there. In a previous job, I actually had made sure that we delivered the shrink-wrap textbooks to your dorm room. So when you arrive, they're sitting on your desk in your dorm room. I think anything we can do to facilitate that process is going to benefit students. It also makes sure they get the right book, on time delivery sort of model. But I think it begs a bigger question of what the bookstore is going to be in 10, 15 years from now. I think it's going to evolve very dramatically. And e-books, all that is going to play into how we deliver instruction.
Yeah, that's really convenient for the students, definitely. We know who's getting their books and who's not.
I ordered from Amazon last night, so I think that is how students are going to interact with bookstores in the future.
So Amazon.com, it's known to sell their books for a cheaper rate. Are you gonna be making a deal with Amazon in the future?
No.
For somehow get it to the school, or
no?
We're
still using our.
Do you think that'll affect the how much we're making at our stores?
Hard to say. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, we're in the right direction.
You have to be competitive, obviously.
Yeah. Well, sports are important not only in our community but also in schools. We talked to MATC's Stormers coach Frank Cimarelli. Check it out.
Over the past 100 years, MATC has had many coaches. The man at the helm now is Coach Frank Cimarelli, a former professional baseball player with the Cardinals who turned to coaching when his career was over.
Just felt like it was something that I had to do to give back. All of the information that I received from all of the good coaches that I had when I played professionally and in college and in high school, I felt like it was my job to pass that information along.
Coach Frank's main goals for his players are to get them a good education, win baseball games, to get their best player scholarships. Recently, he has had success in achieving his goals.
Last year, the 2012 season, we had 6 sophomores, 1 sophomore pitcher, and all 6 were offered scholarships to 4-year schools.
Coach Frank actively recruits all year round, recruiting players from inside the state and outside. He uses many tools to help him recruit, but there is one tool he finds particularly helpful: watching video of prospects on recruiting websites.
A lot of times, a 5-minute video, you get a lot more information than you can, go into a game. You go to watch a player and he walks twice and there's only 1 ball hit to him. It's not a lot of information that you received from that game, but that 5-minute video can give you much more information than going to sit at a 2-hour baseball game.
Coach Frank. He is surrounded by talented players and coaches.
Being a former player myself, I feel like the coach is only going to be as good as the people he surrounds himself with. I have 4 assistant coaches, very smart baseball people. And I think the players themselves are the ones that really are going to determine the outcome of the game.
Jason Wenzel is part of the talented coaching staff here.
Frank brings a lot of intensity with him, allows us as assistant coaches to have our input and to coach the kids like we would, and creates a real nice atmosphere.
Wow, Coach Frank sure loves his team. So, Dr. Burke, when did the sports come to MATC?
Well, I would refer you to our Centennial Stories, if I could. This is a publication we did just for our centennial. And we took this kind of then and now approach. This is the building in 1926 or so. This is it now. So we kind of went through the whole lifeblood of the institution. I looked at similar models, and right on page 24 or so is all the sports. A lot of fun. You'll notice we had a baseball team in 1920. You'll notice we had women's sports in 1937, 1938. That was women's volleyball, women's softball. This is probably 50 years before Title IX and the whole issue around gender equity in sports came about. Okay. We were 50 years ahead of that game. In terms of, not many people know that we were the Blue Jays up until, I think, 1966. We were the MIT.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Blue Jays, yeah, little known fact, it's all in the book. Available in the gift shop. And we changed in, I think, 66 and became, 88, we became the Lake Stormers, a reference probably to our climate here and the storms that come off Lake Michigan. And that really didn't fit on a uniform very well, if you can imagine, Lake Stormers on a uniform, so we shortened it in 1993 to just the Stormers.
Okay, well, that's really interesting. And we just, are we getting a new logo?
Well, I kind of opened, I'm not sure I can put that genie back in the bottle, but I did have a conversation with Tim Decker of our creative animation program, and we had a lightning bolt as a kind of our, I guess, mascot, which doesn't really, render itself well as a mascot kind of logo. So some of the creative animation students got together and developed a number of kind of prototypes, and we're looking at one that kind of plays off this kind of Norse god of storm and lightning bolts. And so we're coming up with something to mostly use, not on uniforms because it would probably be too busy, but use it on perhaps polo shirts and things, t-shirts that we could sell in our spirit shop.
I think one of the logos is actually our logo for the show. So
very cool.
If people get a little sneak peek of that.
Well, and the students did marvelous work. It's just a matter of what really works in terms of athletic uniforms.
Yeah,
is one
definitely.
thing, but what could work in a spirit shop and really kind of promote intercollegiate sports is, I think we can have some fun with it.
Yeah, that's important, definitely. Well, MATC hosts numerous events on campuses. Let's take a look at the latest events.
Here at MATC, students have the opportunity to learn a large variety of hands-on skills. Some of these programs aren't even available at large four-year universities. But the main incentive for someone to go to a technical school is one thing: jobs.
The MATC Job Shop has a new location in the S Building. I spoke with their manager, Michael Kennel, about helping students find jobs.
Well, we are actually the conduit for employers to get into MATC, and we help connect employers with our students and help our students connect with the employers. We do it through job fairs, we do it through Tech Connect, which is a very, very good program that connects all 16 colleges of technical colleges across the state of Wisconsin.
The Job Shop helps organize job fairs, connecting students with local employers.
Here at the job fair, we have a presence, so people know who we are, they know how to apply, and we kind of just take it from there. But we enjoy being here. We're embracing of individuals who are interested in healthcare, so whatever way that we can support that through being at the job fair, clinical placements, if we can make opportunities happen, we'd be happy to do that.
The student government actually is going to be putting on a workshop where we actually reach out to the students and help them build resumes so that they, when they do come to other job fairs, or even going into filling out applications on a personal basis, they can just take the resume and look a little more professional.
A lot of the employers out there today are looking for people with the skills that we're training people in within the programs.
The Job Shop and MATC connects students with local businesses to build a stronger future, one that works.
Well, hopefully everyone can find a job they're looking for. And this is what the events will be coming up in the next 2 weeks. MATC has numerous programs, but one has stuck out among all others this week. Let's check out which one did.
MATC has a plethora of programs they offer. One of the more prominent is the Fire Science program. Sean Hamerick, a Greenfield fire chief and also a distinguished professor here at MATC, gives us insight on the tools it takes for a student to succeed in the real world and the love one has to fight fires and save lives.
I think as they come through the program, the one thing they're going to pick up, especially for most instructors, is the love that all the instructors have for the job. If you ask most firefighters ever, anywhere you go, we will routinely answer that we have the best job in the world. That's because we love what we do. When they come through the program, I think the interactions that we have with them will impart that love for the job, which I think is the most important thing they can come out of this program with, is loving the job that they're going to do. If you see most of the instructors that they interact with here, the way that we love the job is the way that we talk about the job, it's the way we prepare to go to work, it's the way that we teach, it's the lessons that we teach. We take things that are in the book, but we also correlate it with real life experiences, because as everybody knows, what's in the book and what's real life experiences are completely different. So we teach them the stuff that's in the book, but then the experience of all the instructors here has been hundreds of years of experience on the streets and seeing things that aren't in the book, and we relay that information to the students, and hopefully someday that'll make a difference in them going home safe.
Just all the hands-on experience you can do with Fire One. You do all the stuff, you put on your gear, you don it, you raise ladders, you do a fire attack. But I mean, there's a lot of book work that goes along with it, because I mean, the more you prepare, the better chance you have to survive in the real world.
The book work is a portion of it, but we go out to the fire tower and we do practical evolutions. So we do, in the safest manner we can, simulate conditions that we experience out in the real world. But we start fires in a concrete tower that can't burn down and collapse around you. So when you go into your first burning house that's made out of wood that can collapse around you, there's a big difference. So we come as close as we can, but what we really teach them is tools that will allow them to solve problems out in the field. It's all tools in the toolbox, so to speak.
Ashley Gillespie fills us in on one of the many challenges she faced as being a female in a more male-dominating environment.
We're not built as strong as men to begin with, so it almost feels like you have to work out extra hard, and then there's always that intimidating factor of like proving yourself and just earning everybody's respect so that they don't judge you. And
the best part of this program is that I actually get to do what real life firefighters do. I mean, not in a sense as getting more experience, the most experience, but they pretty much teach you everything that there is to know once you get into the real world and get into the field of firefighting.
Because this program is unique, and this is the hands-on practical things that we do in the field. It's all the things that we do as a firefighter. So the more that you do those things, the better that you get. So selfishly, I always wanted to be involved more than just going to work. to get better at what I do. I always strove to be the best at what I could be. So I learn every time I teach a class. Every time we do, you learn something from somebody. You get better at the things that we do. I'm very proficient with the basics of the things that we teach because I do it every semester. So even as my role, I don't have to physically raise ladders and do those things anymore, but I'm aware of how they are because I teach them and I do them every semester. So that's a huge benefit in just practicing the basic skills over and over and over. So
I'm helping the students. I'm also helping myself by refreshing on those skills and teaching. That's the best way of learning, is teaching. So I also get to do that.
Well, that looks like a great program. And thank you, Dr. Burke, for visiting us today. I had a really good time.
Anytime.
And we'd just like to leave you with this creative package.
Fall covers the earth in a blanket of her bounty. Like a sleeping child, she is tired and ready to rest. An impressive spectrum of color fills the fields with amber. A fragrance whisks through the winds that can only describe a cool fall day. It's the most beautiful time in the year, and I wish that monument could just freeze and I could live in it forever. Sadly, the perimeters of space and time are fairly hard to break. So I'm stuck with memories and photographs, and I need a little something more personal for my taste. I'll find a spot that can show others what I see, show the beauty of nature compared to the harsh, cold reality of metal frames and concrete. I could paint a sort of snapshot from creativity with my hands and passion. It will be my masterpiece, my muse. It will show people what I see. Built with nothing more than a brush and a few strokes, a scene will be born. I walk through this tunnel of amber. I look at the trees, whose trunks rise up to the sky, similar to the towers mankind has built in honor to their gods of electricity and steel. So many similarities and so few. Perhaps the architects of their people looked up to the trees for inspiration. I look upon my battlefield, a simple canvas to some, an empty void to me that needs to be filled. My sword is a paintbrush, my shield is a palette, and my armor is my love. Clouds conquer space, plants move toward the sky, time passes on. At the climax of my creation, I fall, not in defeat nor in failure, but for the pure feeling of bliss. I look upon the work, blood, sweat, tears, and paint. Its beauty is unrivaled, its taste is exponential. That's why I need to destroy it. Like human civilizations, at the apex of their glory, they are destroyed by either nature, war, and in some cases by their own arrogances, such as my sin. I watch the flames engulf the piece. burning away my brushstrokes and burning away in the reflection of my eyes. Up in smoke, into the sky, it becomes a part of nature. I become a part of nature.